All right. Well, thank you very much for those of you that have joined us this morning. Shortly, I'll introduce you to our very special guest speaker who we've got here today. Before I do that, I would like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet virtually, which we're seeing less of that, which is nice. I'd like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who may be joining us this morning. So thank you. Welcome to another episode of our Myotherapy ConneX webinar series. And we are still in our Know Your Business, Grow Your Business campaign stage, where we're providing our audiences great opportunities to understand a little bit about business, what you can do, how you go about doing it, and some wonderful little tidbits. So today we are getting social. And social media, I'll put my hand up and say that it scared the bejesus out of me some time ago, because it seemed like a big bad world that I knew very little about. But I also understood the importance of ensuring that we were able to understand some of it, or at least speak to people that understood it, and start to get our businesses out there and social in front of a very, very large audience. So I would like to welcome our guest speaker today. We have had a slight change in speakers, but we're very excited to be joined today by Alison Walker. Ali, thank you very much for being with us. So for those of you who haven't heard of Ali, a little bit of a background. She is a self-starter, a social media convert, and she is also a very big advocate for small businesses. Ali she works as a mentor with small businesses and some businesses that are a bit larger, and she just basically helps them wade through that somewhat frightening world of the social media and the digital space. So Ali comes with very strong communication skills, and she is very proud to say that she enjoys sharing authentic stories, and we're going to hear a bit more about that as well. Prior to becoming a social media convert, Ali's past life was as a myotherapist, and so she's very well equipped to understand the space of myotherapy as a practitioner, a business owner, but also from a patient's perspective. And I think that's really unique with our conversation today, because much of what we want to also understand is there an importance in the language that we apply when we're putting ourselves out there socially? So Ali, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome.
Just unmute. Thank you. It's great to be here. It's a really weird crossing over of my two worlds. From my myotherapy world, I trained finished back in 1995. I was an RMIT graduate and worked in the field for quite a number of years until I, for a number of reasons, merged, traveled out of there, and I now work in digital media and marketing, but also mostly in the tourism and hospitality space. But I also work with a range of small businesses. I work with health. I've worked with health and wellness. I worked with hotels. I've worked with service businesses. So I have lots of connections in various spaces. And one of the things that I find most that seems to travel across all of the platforms is that people come into, so for example, training as a myotherapist. We trained as a myotherapist. You learned about muscles, you learned about joints, you learned about physiology, learned all these things. You didn't necessarily learn at university or college about how to market yourself. You perhaps learned the beginning steps. This is how you set up a business, get an ABN, think about renting a room, all those sorts of things. But it was all the extra stuff along the way that I think many business owners are lacking. And small businesses, the number of businesses that exist that have between 1 and 5 employees or people working with them, and the majority of those have one person. So you are the person who, in this particular situation, you are the person who is the myotherapist. And you are also the person who cleans your room. You're the person who takes the bookings. You're the person who goes out there trying to build that business. You're the person who does all the scheduling and all of those sorts of things. And sometimes it can become quite overwhelming with how on earth am I supposed to do all those sorts of things and still be able to, your hourly rate becomes quite small when you spread it across all of those jobs that you're doing. So this is about working effectively and working in a way that is long term. It's really, really easy to become overwhelmed and think I have to be on all of the platforms and I have to do all of the things. And, one thing I saw on Instagram says I should be posting 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And I just can't do that because I'm a parent, I'm a partner, I'm all of those things. And so this is about working out the best ways to be effective with what you're presenting and also that long-term strategy. So what I want to start with is thinking about, which I suppose this little collection of webinars is all about, is think about working on your business rather than in your business. So if you're somebody who's working, let's just pick a time. We're working 4 days a week and the other day is your parenting day or your study day or your whatever day. So we're working 4 days a week and we're going to pick those as 4 8-hour days. So that's 32 hours of the week that you are devoting directly to your business. And in that time, we need to carve out, and it only needs to be an hour, and it doesn't need to be an hour every week. We need to carve out an hour, say once a month or once a fortnight. And in that hour is we're going to talk about the strategy for the marketing and social media part of your business. So So for example, you might start work at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. So perhaps that hour before you start, that 9 till 10, is when you're going to sit down and you're going to go, okay, I've got this 1 hour and I can commit to that once every 3 weeks. So in that hour, I'm going to map out what's happening for the next 3 weeks for my business. I find it really effective to have a calendar that I go through and I work out, as I said, I work with hospitality and tourism businesses. And so we've gone through and we've marked things like May the 4th, Star Wars Day, World Chocolate Day, World Environment Day, obviously Mother's Day and Father's Day and all of those, big ones. But all of those little things that you think, these are the sorts of special days that are going to resonate with my customers and the people who come to my business. And so we've put those on our calendar. I'm a very visual person, so I like a printed calendar or a whiteboard or paper. I can then transfer that into a digital calendar, but I like to have it in paper first. And so I've gone through and I've put all those, and then I've gone through and put all of my public holidays, and I've put in school holidays, because whether that affects you personally, it's potentially going to affect your customers as well. So you need to have those sorts of things. And any other particular, for example, Myotherapy Awareness Week coming up, you'd put that one in. There might be some other health particular days, World Blood Pressure Day or whatever it is, and go through and put those in your calendar. Then you can sit down and you go, okay, so for April, I've got, what have we got in April? We've got Easter, so that's 4 days. We've got Anzac Day. We've got an end of a school term and a start of a school term. And so we're going to map those things out, and they're going to help plan your content. So the next step with that is sitting there going, okay, so potentially I'm very comfortable working on Facebook. I'm not so comfortable on Instagram, but I have an Instagram account. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and plan, and I think that I can effectively and easily, so I'm not going to put myself under too much pressure, post 3 times a week. So with those posts, and as I said, it doesn't matter whether that's, Facebook or Instagram or, whichever ones, whatever it is that you're using, I'm going to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so part of this planning and strategy is about being consistent. And it doesn't matter which days of the week that you're choosing to do your posting and your scheduling, but it's about being consistent, so that if your online followers can look back and they go, I know that every Monday I'm going to log on to this page, or I'm going to connect with this page when I check my social media, and they're going to tell me, that business is going to tell me the same thing every Monday. So that might be, these are the appointments that we have available, or this is what we're following this week, or we're doing a series in May on shoulder injuries, because that's really contingent to the group that you're working with. And so every Monday in May, there's going to be a little snippet about looking after my shoulder. Then on Wednesday, we're going to look at a community connected post. And so this is something, as I said, these are just examples. A community connected post is where you're connecting your business to someone else in the community. If you think about who it is that you follow on Instagram or Facebook as a personal point of view, what is it that you like about them? So with the local coffee shop, is it that you love how they tell you how they're making their coffee? Is it that you love how they share behind the scenes little videos? Is it that you love when they tell you when they've got specials on? They're the sorts of things you need to think about, and you can use those ideas. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So on our Wednesday, we're going to do our community post, and our community post is, so for week 1 in May, we're going to talk about, there's a local fun run coming up, and my business is going to be connected to that local fun run because I'm supporting them from a monetary point of view. I've sponsored that particular thing, or four of our patients are running in that fun run, or I've got a discount, a value add discount. I've connected with that fun run and I've got a value add discount. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to promote that, but I'm only going to do it on a Wednesday because that's the day that I'm connecting with the community. It could be that, for example, with Easter coming up, a really, really busy time, people are wanting to get away, go on holidays, eat lots of chocolate, spend time with friends, all of those sorts of things. So my connection on the Wednesday with this community thing is I'm saying, okay, for me, I live in Mansfield, it's beautiful, lots of people, they're already rolling into town, people going camping, people going hiking, they're riding their bikes. So potentially me promoting my myotherapy business, I could be saying, okay, the things that are going to be important to people are, here are some great tips for when you go hiking this Easter. Here are some great tips for when you go camping so that you don't get a sore back when you're sleeping on the ground. Here are some examples here are some ideas for when you take the caravan away and so that you don't hurt yourself when you're setting up or packing down. So just putting in those sorts of a community announcement. I'm not expecting you to book in and have an appointment with me. I'm not expecting you to come and be a new patient. I'm actually giving you something for free. I'm sharing something for my community. And so that's what I'm going to do every single Wednesday. It's going to be something a little bit different, but I'm sharing something that's connecting community and connecting you to my business. And then on Friday is going to be my sales day. So Friday is when I'm going to talk about, I've got a series coming up that I'd love you to come to. I've got a webinar, a once a week webinar about looking after your shoulder. I've got I sell socks, great Pilates socks in my practice. And so that's what I'm going to do on a Friday. And that's the only day that I'm going to do that sales type post, is just on a Friday. And so people come to expect the same sorts of things along the way with what you're posting. And it means that you then don't have that overwhelm going, oh, hang on, it's Friday, what am I supposed to be posting? You can go, okay, on Friday is my sales day. And as I said, sales, if you're following a business, you know, the local coffee shop or the local dress shop or whatever it is, and they're salesy, they're very, very salesy. You need to tell that story about how to sell. About how to sell. I'm just going to share my screen and talk and go through some slides about how to tell your business story in a way that feels authentic and doesn't feel over salesy. So if you just hang on for a second.
So Alison, while you're searching to share that screen, so the message I'm hearing from you here is ensure that you have consistency around how you're I suppose marketing across social, and so you're essentially saying for your customers, whether they're existing or whether they're customers that you're looking to bring into your business, those who you're engaging with across social start to get a sense of what's happening within those periods. As you were saying, you know, Wednesdays is community day. I know I'm going to see something from Alison, or whatever I see going up on a Wednesday, I know that's community based. Fridays, you know, I know that Alison's putting something up there with regards to, you know, the sales associated with her business. Why is it so important for people to have that consistency and sort of not chop and change what it is that they're posting across their socials?
The consistency, we all like, just as people, we all like for the road to be, you know, to be nice and smooth. And when it comes out, and of course there are going to be times it's going to, you know, throw, especially the last 2 years has shown us, where things are going to catch us off balance, and we're going to have to do something different. But people like consistency. They like to know what's coming up. They like to not be scared or concerned or those sorts of things, and it makes us feel comfortable. So, you know, it's the same kind of thing with our storytelling. So I'll just work out how I can do this next. Oh, there we go. There's the arrow. So here we go. Think about the story of your business. First of all, who are you? What is the story of your business? Are you a myotherapy business that has 10 practitioners and you're in 3 locations and have, you know, you're seeing so many patients per week? Or are you someone who is just you're working out of the back room at your house? All of these things are great, but you need to understand what your story is. And what do you represent? Again, do you have a face to your business? Are you a single practitioner? Or are you just, and that's not a bad thing, are you just a brand? Do you have an overarching name for your myotherapy business? Are you part of a larger brand? What is it that you're representing? Who is your audience? So this is your target market. We can't be everything for everybody, and that's okay. Think about who wants your services and who do you want to sell your service to. You actually get to choose. You don't have to be the myotherapist who can fix ankles, knees, hips, you know, shoulders, elbows, everything else. You're actually allowed to say, do you know what? I really love treating mums with young kids. I really love doing that. It makes me feel good. I come away, I'm happy with the stories that I've shared, all of those sorts of things. I'm really happy with my skills in that space. And you're actually allowed to choose. This is why you run your own business, so that you can choose, but you need to be able to tell that story so that the audience you're speaking to says, hey, that's me. I'm the mum with a young kid. That's the business that I want to be a part of. And then the next thing you need to think about is, where does that audience play? What medium does your audience use? It's no good being active on Twitter if your preferred audience is over on Instagram, or they're not online at all. So if your audience is, you know, I'm picking my mum who's in her 70s, she uses Facebook, but she's not going to be picking a business that's on Facebook. She's going to be reading the local paper. So that's where I need to be playing. She might check on a web page, but she's not going to be choosing who she's using because they're on Facebook or Instagram, because she's not playing in that space. So think about where your audience is going to play. What's on my next slide? Okay, how do you tell a story? What is it that I'm supposed to be saying? So think about information that's going to resonate with someone. Why does someone want to use your business or your service? Share the experiences behind your brand, your employees, your customers, your advocates. Build a narrative and connect with your audience on an emotional level. So that's my whole bent about this. Isn't just about sales. If every single thing that you put on social media, whether it doesn't matter which platform it is come and buy my service, people are going to switch off. Can't be bothered, not interested. We get pushed from all areas with everything. Come and buy my groceries. My groceries are best. My dress is best. My cup of coffee is best. My building products are best. Buy my stuff. We need to create that story so that someone says, oh, that's right. I saw Ellie online and she's the sort of person that I would feel comfortable going to see, because when you think about it, the emotional connection that somebody has with their therapist, and it doesn't matter what sort of therapist or medical professional, health professional, is a really close and personal one. And so you need to create a space where someone's going to feel comfortable. And if that is a very, very, very clinical health sort of setup, that's great. That will attract a particular type of audience. If you're a little bit more organic and you've got, the plants and the softer muted colors and the low lights, that's also fantastic, but that's going to attract a certain type of audience, which is your customer. So think about how you're connecting with those people.
I think, Ali, that's a really great point too, because, my background, as people are aware, I'm a qualified myotherapist, and something that, always resonated with me when I listen to patients. And while I appreciate that, marketing ourselves is not about necessarily, or it's not always about marketing to the audience you have, but very often about marketing to the audience you don't have and you want to bring into the business. But certainly, I always love to hear people when they talk about, my myo, they almost take this ownership over it because they have developed this relationship of trust, and they absolutely become our greatest advocates. So I love what you're saying there about, ensure that you build that emotional connection, and especially with health. People are often coming to us, they're vulnerable, they're in pain for the most part. They've probably seen a lot of different people before they've come into our clinical space. So, their guard's up a little bit and there's an element of vulnerability. But if you've connected with them in a way that allows them to already have a sense of trust on whatever level that is, I think that's just such a great start.
Yeah. So when we're telling that story and you're going, I don't know what to do, how do I tell that story? Think about things like your location. Where is your business? What's special or unique about your business? Is your location relevant to your business? Are you the business that has really easy access? So for me, I'm going, okay, I need to drop in, I need to go to my therapist on my way to work, or I have to go on my way home from work, so it's going to be really busy on such and such a road. Do you have really great access to your clinic with lots of parking? If you do, you need to talk about that. You might think, but isn't it more important for me to talk about what's happening in the room? Well, that's also important, but where your business is. You might have amazing views from your clinic. So that's also going to be part of your story. Step into my clinic, look at the views, look out, there's the trees, the mountains, the lake, whatever it is. That's fantastic. I'm that space that you can come in and take a deep breath and already start to feel better about yourself. So think about your location. Take photos of your location. Don't just take photos when you step inside that clinical room, because a clinical room, they all kind of tend to look the same. Step outside, take a photo of the blue sky and the sunshine. On that rainy day, go outside and take a photo of the rain dripping from the trees and go, come in and shelter and blah, that kind of thing. Take photos outside your space. What is your offer? What do you offer that your target audience wants? Is it that you're offering stress relief? Are you offering return to movement? Are you offering ease of use? It's really easy to come in and see me. I've got it, I've got an online booking system, and I've got all of these different things that make it really, really easy for you to use. Time, I'm open late at night. I'm open till 8:30 at night, so you can come after work. Is it the cost? Is it that you know that the people that you're wanting to connect with all have private health insurance and a particular level of private health insurance, which makes you and your services the right thing for them. The next one, which is a really important one, and this covers a whole lot of different businesses, but your values. What are your business values? What do you believe in, and why does your business exist? Share your reason why to attract your ideal customer. So as I was saying before, you might be someone who says, I love working with parents of small children. So why is it that you like to connect with those particular people? What is it? What's your background? What's your connection? Why is it? What's going to connect that particular group with you? And then the other one, the timing. When is your offer available? Is it year round? Is it seasonal? Do you have a strong footy footy cohort that work with you, and you're going, okay, so we need to work in the pre-season so that you're fit and well and healthy before you go into the footy season, and then during it we're keeping you going, and then afterwards we're making sure that you're fit and well so that next year in the footy season you're going to be performing at your best. So think about what the timing of your offer is, and there will be an offer and it will have something. You've just got to work out what it is. So here we go. Again, really important with our storytelling, the 5 C's. Circumstance, establish the context of your story, set the scene, and introduce the audience to what they need to know. So this is where I was talking about, it might be that you've got fabulous car parking. It might be that you've got online booking. It might be that your hours fit in with something. We haven't even got into what you're actually physically doing within the treatment room. This is all the outside telling of the story. Curiosity, use curiosity in your business storytelling to spark interest and create a thirst for knowing more. You might have a new product that you're wanting to use with people. You might have gone and done a fabulous PD course that you've now got a new skill. So rather than just saying, hey, I've just learned how to I don't know, I'm now a Pilates instructor. Yay, fantastic. I didn't tell you about it beforehand because I didn't think you'd be interested. But you need to perhaps lead up to that so that they're going, oh, what's this thing? You can say, oh, I've been out, here's some of the equipment that I'm using, here's some of these things. And so you're leading it into it. So you're connecting with them so they want to come back and find out more. The characters, make your stories more relatable by adding a human element. It's really easy if you're the solo practitioner, but if you're in a group and you've got 3 people or 4 people working in your clinic, talk about all of them. Talk about all the things that they're adding. You might have one person who works with your footy players. You might have another person who just specializes in feet and knees and ankles. You might be working with an amazing osteopath or chiropractor or doctor or someone within your clinic, and you need to talk about those people too. Conversation. People respond to conversation better than a list of numbers, statistics, or figures. Sure, throw in that thing and say, 73% of blah, blah got, shoulder injuries get fixed when we do this. But if you talk about the conversation, the story is what people know, and it's also what they'll remember. And then the last one, which is a fairly easy one when you think about it, is conflict. So this is the problem your customer faces or the goal they're dreaming to achieve. And this is how you're going to fix that for them. And as I said, the conflict might be, I don't have time to book in to see you. So you're going to tell them the story that tells them how they do have time, because I'm open on a Saturday morning, or I'm open at 7:30 at night, so you can do it after you've gone home and spent time with your family, or I open one morning a week at 6 o'clock in the morning so that you can see me on your way to work. Whatever that conflict is, you need to work out what it is, and that's how you're going to be the person who fixes it. So business storytelling, create a story, this is just going over what we've just done, that draws them in, piques their curiosity, leaves them wondering what will happen next. Why do I want to come back and see and read that blog on your webpage, or have a look at that series of ads in your local paper, or look at your Instagram stories? Connect with your audience on an emotional level. Everyone has a dream. Figure out what your customers aspire to do or be, and tell a story that reflects that dream. So it's not just, your hired athlete that's saying, I want to compete in the stall gift in 3 years' time, and so I need to be fit and well. It could just be someone who, I want to be able to get up from my desk at the end of the day and not feel exhausted and sore. Every day when I get up, because I'm at my desk for 6 hours a day, I get up and I've got a sore back. You don't have to have a sore back every time you get up from your desk, but I'm going to tell you how I can help you to get to that situation. And that's your dream, is to be able to work and be pain-free. Tell the story from start to finish, experiment with different formats, and make case studies easy to find. So different formats, it might be that you run a series of interviews with different people. It might be that you're playing on Instagram and testing out reels. So you think you've got this reel thing happening, and you make a series of reels. Don't release them all at once. Say every Tuesday, I'm going to release a reel on Instagram. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to look at the reaction, and I'm going to check, and I'm going to go, okay, was it the music that they liked? Was it the information that I was sharing? What is it that we've got that person's connected with? And then next Tuesday, I'm going to put another one out there, and I'm going to use that information to build on that. Make case studies easy to find. So this could be that we've got case studies on our webpage. We're telling a blog, or like we're writing a blog going, okay, here's the story of the person who came in and they couldn't move their arm above their shoulder. And then after 6 weeks of doing blah, 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 this is where we ended up. But make those easy to find. So it could be that you've got them on your webpage, really front and center. And then every now and then you share from one of your Facebook or Instagram posts. It could be that you're sharing those case studies in your stories on Instagram. It could be that you've got YouTube videos that tell you how to best look after yourself when you're sitting at your desk and working. Make them really easy for your customer to find, or your potential customer. I'll just move my little window across. How is your small business different? How can you help? And why should this person buy from you? So, because basically that's what they're doing. They're buying from you. You're selling them your product, and your product is your myotherapy treatment. So why is it that this person wants to do it? Make it really easy for them for your potential customer to understand why they should be choosing you rather than the person down the road. And then this last slide is something to do to help you with that strategy, and that strategy creation is a SWOT analysis, but we want to look at it at your business from a digital point of view. So what are your strengths? What things does your business have that are really good things? So you've collected, I've just seen my spelling mistake, have digital assets. So for example, you've claimed your social media pages, you have a web page that you update on a semi-regular basis. You might have the skills to make reels really well. You've got another thing is that you've got a fabulous camera, so you can you regularly take videos and store them. That's a strength. What are your weaknesses? This is a really big one. Is it time? Is it you're working out that I don't have the strategy. I haven't planned for these things. I don't have the consistency. What are those weaknesses? The opportunities. Today, you've turned up. You've enrolled in a digital workshop to enhance your skill set. Yay, well done. So that's an opportunity. What other opportunities are out there that you can take part in? And they don't need to be long. This is just an hour. There are plenty of 1 hour online little courses that can help you grow and help you to learn more stuff. Find someone that and they don't have to be in the myotherapy world. Find someone that you know who has a business and say, hey, I loved it when you shared those that little Flickr photo album on Facebook. I don't know how to do that. Can you teach me how to do that? And find those opportunities. And then this is a big one, the threats. So the first one that I find is really, really important is the brain vault. One person has all of the knowledge. What happens if tomorrow you could no longer work in your business? Who has all of that information and where is it? Do you have it listed who your web host is, who your domain is registered with, what email addresses you have? You don't necessarily have to have the passwords listed with them, but what are those things that one person, I've walked away and sorry, you no longer have any of that information available to your business. The other threat that a lot of small businesses in particular have is an over-reliance on social media for strategy and marketing. Yes, it's the space that I work in, but it shouldn't be your only space that you play in. So it's really, really important that we have a web page. If Facebook turns around tomorrow and says, we're going to charge you $10,000 a year in order for you to have your Facebook business page, how many people are going to put their hand up and say, yep, I'm in? And you've got this fabulous following on Facebook. You've got 1,500 people like your page and they regularly engage and everything else. But now Facebook have said, or Meta have said, we're going to charge you $10,000 a year for that. You go, I'm not sure I want to play in that space anymore. So you need to think about what other things you have in place so that you can connect with your audience. I'm just going to stop that screen share now. I've come to the end of my slides. So they're the sorts of things that are really important with creating that business story, and that can go across all of the areas within your business. So I'll just grab a drink.
That's right. Thanks, Ali. That was great, and some really, really handy little tidbits through there as well. So I'll open up. So please, if you have a question for Ali, raise your hand, or you can type away in the Q&A, and I'll keep an eye on that. So, I mean, we've had a look at the slides, and there's some great tips about what to do, how to do it, things to consider within your business, such as your audience, the time that you might be posting things, the content. My question is there an easy way? You said set aside maybe an hour, it might be once a month. Is there an easy way to post this content, or do we have to specifically go to each of our social pages and set them up? What's a way that we can really maximize that hour? Because you're absolutely right. At the start, you talked about the fact that quite often as practitioners, we're the everything. You know, yes. we're first and foremost the practitioner. Then we're the accountant. We're admin. We're minister of finances and earthquakes. We're social media, and so I think what we tend to do as well as practitioners is always go, first and foremost, we have to make sure that anytime someone wants to book an appointment, we take that, because that's our bread and butter. But the reality is, and yes, Rachel, we can provide those slides for you, absolutely. But I think the reality is that hour that you set aside, that's as big, your biggest part of the bread and butter as your, treatment, your physical activity within the clinic. So yep. How do we maximize that time is my first question. And then I'd like to talk a little bit about, images that we might use. Where do we get them from? Do we have to spend money to get these images? Do we have to spend money to also make sure these posts are in front of the people we want them in front of? So let's start with maximizing the time to create these posts and schedule them.
Okay, so the first part of that, and if you've never done this before, if you have an extra amount of time just to get yourself set up, then that would be fabulous. But once you have that strategy, you've got your calendar, and you are able to map out a calendar for the month. So you've gone, okay, here's my April calendar. And I'm going to post 3 times a week. That's what I've said I'm going to do. And on Mondays, this is what I'm doing. And I've got a little bit of a blurb about what I'm doing. And then Wednesdays is this, and Fridays is this. There are a number of, and I'm big for free, there are a number of different tools. So for example, one that a lot of people have probably heard about is Hootsuite. And you can go in there and use different platforms. So you can use your Facebook, and you can use your Instagram and everything else, and you can plot it out within there, so it will actually automatically post those things for you. So you've sat down you can do it on the first Monday of every month, and you've sat down and you've plotted it all out, and you've found your images that you're going to use, and you can actually put them into that Hootsuite, and it will do it automatically. Obviously, you need to go back and check in and see, because someone's posted and said, oh, this is fantastic. How do I find out more information? Or where can I buy that from? Or how do I make an appointment with you? So it's not a case of just lock and leave. You do have to interact, but that doesn't have to be every day. You don't need to be glued to your phone. It might be that you have a 20-minute tea break organized some stage throughout your appointments. And so that's the time you sit down with your cup of tea and you go, okay, quick, jump back in, double check all of those Facebook posts or Instagram posts or whatever it is, and answer the comments. But you can also do that just within the Facebook, keep calling it Facebook, within the Meta suite. So there's something called Business Manager, and you can do that on a laptop, or you can do it on a tablet or on your phone. There is an app which is called, I'll just see what it's called. I think it's still called Business. Yep, called Business Suite. And so it's a free app, and you connect your Facebook or your Instagram to that particular app. And you can then do exactly the same thing. You can go in and you can post your weeks or your months or your whatever it might be, and post those things in there. You can schedule stories for Instagram. You can schedule stories for your Facebook. You don't have to be online all of the time to do it. But the starting point for that is having that calendar and that plan. So it's no use going, okay, I'm going to schedule all this stuff if you're still doing it ad hoc and without a plan in mind. So that they're really important things to be using. But as I said, there's Hootsuite, then there's a whole range. If you just Google social media scheduling, you will come up. They'll all pop up. There's Planoly, there's Tailwind, there's Later. There's a whole lot of different things that you can access. Many of them you can access for free, or you can take that first step and come in and have a play with them. Some of them will suit better than others. Some of them will have a better free offering. So what's the one? Later, I think it have just changed, and they'll now only offer 10 posts per month, which 10 posts might be all that you're doing, and that's their free offering. And it might be that you play with something for a month or 2 months for free and see how you're using it, and then you go, okay, actually this is pretty cool, but I'm going to use it. I want to have that extra ability to use, so I'm going to pay the $20 a year or $30 a year. I can incorporate that into my business and use those and use that platform. I know that the Myotherapy Association uses Hootsuite and finds it really effective, but again, there's still that stuff where you have to hop on and engage as a person, rather than just schedule. If all you're doing is scheduling stuff and putting it out there but not engaging, then that's just like you're just selling. You're not communicating and coming back into it.
And all of these platforms, correct me if I'm wrong, also have an analytics in the back end. And for those of you who aren't familiar with analytics, essentially, I think, is it right to say that whilst it's good to be scheduling posts, you want to understand what's happening, who's interacting, who is your audience that's interacting with you, what are they interacting more often with, but we can also get that information from Google Analytics. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's free to set yourself up with Google Analytics?
It's one of those things that when you first sign up and log into your Google Analytics, it's a really scary place. There's lots of graphs, there's lots of words that perhaps you don't understand. But as with especially with Google things, there are so many help videos online. So if you have your laptop open, you've signed in, you've set up your account, you've said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect my Google Analytics to my webpage and see where people are searching on my webpage. Have your tablet or your phone or whatever open next to you with the little help video, the YouTube video that says, this is what you need to do. And it will take you through step by step. You don't need to be an expert. But yes, you can step through. There are always people who can help that you can, subcontract in and say, hey, really out of my depth with this one. Can you please set up Google Analytics for my business? And then can you explain to me how I actually use it? That's the important thing. It's no use having it there set up if you're not actually then going to check in and say, oh, most people use my webpage between, they clicked on it between 7 and 8:30 at night, and they were mostly female, and the page that they liked the best was the one that my blog post was on. That's where people keep coming back to. So you look at that and you go, well, that's where I'm going to invest my energy, because that's what people are using. They're not looking at the About Me page. They're not looking at the gallery of photos that I spend all my time uploading and putting all these beautiful photos on. They're actually in there in my blog posts, or they're going straight to my calendar to be able to book an appointment. They're bypassing everything else, and that's where they're going.
How do we know where our audience plays? So, you're referring to that in some of your slides there. how do we determine where that audience? So for example, if I'm a myotherapist and I know that, you know, I really love to treat, as you said, maybe mums, how can I determine where they are so that I'm connecting with them appropriately and I'm not posting a whole lot of stuff, for example, on LinkedIn and they're not in there?
And they're not in there. So I think the first thing is to ask them. So the customers, the patients that you currently have who are in that area that you would love to be treating, ask them, where is it that you found out about me? Where is it that you spend your time, your downtime? You know, do you use Instagram? Do you use Facebook? Have it as a little tick box on your patient information form. So ask the people who you already have that connection with. Then go into the wider world and everybody, and ask your friends. You know, you're in my target market. You're someone who runs 3 times a week. That's the person who I want to have in my clinic. So you run 3 times a week. Where is it that you get your information about stuff? And they go, oh, I listen to podcasts. You go, didn't think about a podcast. Maybe I need to have a podcast, 15 minutes, released once a week, that I'm talking about, you know, the best ways for runners to recover from, you know, from foot injuries or knee injuries or whatever. I'm becoming that voice of authority on that space. And here I was thinking that I needed to be on Instagram. But everyone who I know who runs 3 times a week, they're actually listening to podcasts. They're not playing on Instagram. So you need to, asking people where it is that they're playing. Ask your target market. Say, where is it that you are?
And the images that we use for our socials, I mean, are we just grabbing a whole lot of stock images and applying them to our socials? Is it better that we're actually taking photos, real life people, us, our clinicians? What's a better option for us? And does it cost money if we're using these stock images? And when should we use those?
So the stock images that you can get, and then there are many places that you can get free stock images. I use Canva, so canva.com, and there are images in there there are some great images that you can use. There are a whole lot of, again, if you just Google, you know, free stock images, and there are lots of libraries that you're able to use. Potentially, depending on what sort of images you're wanting to use. I don't know if the Myotherapy Association has a bank of stock images that you can use. There's things you can ask. One of the best investments that you can have for your business is to actually have some photos taken, have some professional photos taken, have a bank of 30 images. You can use those over 6 months because you intersperse them. So they're the really set up, beautiful, you know, well-focused, all of that kind of stuff. And intersperse those. Say I've got 30, so that could last me 2 months because I'm going to use one of those per week. And then I'm going to intersperse those with just photos taken on my camera. On my phone. And I'm going to set up, and I'm going to take a whole lot of sort of background shots, and using those, but investing in a library of images and doing that, say, twice a year. I know it's expensive, but perhaps it's something that you can do a contra deal. Perhaps you know a photographer, you can say, hey, can we do, you know, 4 treatments? Because you've got a sore shoulder because you're holding that heavy camera. Can we do 4 treatments? And I get a stock, you know, a library of photos. So they're the discussions that you need to have with people. But that's a really big one that if you can afford to, and as I said, I know that they're expensive, but having those professionally done photos is a big thing.
Okay. Now, can you share with us a little bit about spending money on social? So we hear about, you know, Facebook ads, for example, or Instagram ads, boosting your posts. So what does that mean? And what sort of spend are we talking about? I mean, are people having to sort of spend hundreds of dollars a month to make sure that their socials are actually getting out there and they're reaching their audiences?
So that little boost button on the bottom of your post on your business page, it's really tempting just to press that and pay $25, and you know, this many people will see your post. It's really tempting. You're better off spending a little bit of time and potentially the same amount of money. Say we're going to spend $50 on that boost post, and we're going to boost it because we've got an event coming up. We're coming up soon, and so we think we really want more people to know about this. You're actually better off going in and creating an ad set within your, again, using that Meta, that business suite, creating an ad set and being really, really specific. You're saying, okay, I live in postcode 3722. So I'm in Mansfield. So my nearest towns that I'm going to be working with are Benalla, Euroa, Alexandra, and Yea, and they're all about 60 kilometers away. So, but I want to attract to those people. So if I go in and create an ad set within my Facebook, the back end of my Facebook, that Meta suite, and create an ad suite and an ad set, and I'm looking at women between the age of 22 and 35, and I'm looking for their interests to be running, exercising at the gym, doing Pilates, and swimming. That's the group that I'm trying to attract to me. And in that ad set, I can be really, really specific. And so I create that little audience, and I can pay, you can choose how much you want to pay. You can have a little play going, I'm not sure if this is going to work, and just, invest $30. And I'm going to have that ad run for 5 days. And so you can choose that. It's very specific within that Facebook advertising space. And what I'm going to do then is the analytics and the reports that come back from that ad will tell me how many people have clicked on that. So my call to action is I want them to go directly to the book now section of my webpage, where I can book my online appointments. And so I'm going to direct them specifically. I've got a set of 4 different images that might appeal to those people. I've got someone who's swimming. I've got someone who's outside being fit and active. They're hiking up a mountain. And I've got, what's the other one? I've got someone who's out walking with a pram. So that's my, potentially going to attract or connect with that mum group that I'm looking for as well. And so these are the 3 different images that I'm going to use across those adverts. And the thing with advertising rather than a boost is that that's going to go to people who don't necessarily already like my page and connect and engage with my page. So Facebook, with all its little algorithms, all those things that annoy you, if you think about it when you're looking and all these ads pop up and you're like, how on earth does Facebook know that, I don't know, the pillows at Adair's are going to be interesting me. I don't follow Adair's on Facebook, but somehow I've got this ad here and those pillows are really nice, buy. So that's what's going to happen, is that you're going to have this ad is going to be served up to people in their news feed, but it's going to be a very specific group. It's not going to be served up to the 65-year-old male who builds, plays with cars, because I haven't included that within my little ad set and my specifics with that kind of stuff. And so my recommendation is, if you, rather than press that boost button, which is really easy to do and it's very tempting and it's there all the time, steer clear from there and actually go in and create an ad set and start small. Start really, really small. You can put it so that it's not going to just keep spending. It's not going to just come and you're going to go, I've just spent $250 on Facebook ads. You can say that it's only allowed to spend $30. You can have a little play and see what reaction you get, and whether you get, and it will tell you at the end, this many people clicked through. So you've got that very, very targeted space as to whether it's worked.
Ali, I'm really conscious of time and we are going to have to wind it up, and I'm sure we could continue this conversation for quite a while. But I think, look, for people like myself, I sort of listen to this and I'm listening to sort of how to create an ad set. And whilst I might be going, look, it sounds great, but it also blows my mind a bit and it still frightens me a little bit. is it then worth, and look, you know, for purpose of transparency, we're going to be working with you across Myotherapy Awareness Week, which we're really excited about as well. And the reason that we as an association have done that is because we've also identified this is our skill set, and he's someone who really knows that space. I'd probably spend 4 hours creating one ad set. You might spend, you know, half an hour creating that ad set.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is for businesses, consider your marketing plan, consider your budgets, your overall business budgets, and consider your time, and sit there and work it out and say, look, what might take me a couple of hours because I'm learning this space, it's not my expertise. 2 to 3 hours of my time where I might be treating patients will cost me X. 2 to 3 hours of someone's time like Ali, where she works in this space every day and lives and breathes it and understands it, will actually cost me this amount. So it's probably worth for businesses to consider. Know your limitations is something that I definitely say to people. Don't try and become the social media expert. Definitely you can do things where you don't have to engage services, you know, creating some of those posts, as Ali was saying, have a bit of a look across the platforms, see which ones you use. But I'd really encourage people to also draw the line and say, okay, at what point is it probably a better use of my money and my time to consider engaging the services of somebody like Ali, who works within that space every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other, just to add on to that one as well, the other thing that I do sometimes with businesses is you can get someone to teach you how to do it. So I will write a social media calendar for a business, and I will go in and I'll set up their MailChimp templates and everything else for their e-newsletters, and then they get an instruction book. So they've pulled me on and said, can you get this all set and started? But we'd actually like to continue to do it. So there's also people out there that will do that. You go, I'm really unsure with this kind of stuff, but I would like ongoing to be able to do it myself. Yeah. And so that is also another option, is to engage someone to set it up and get it started for you, but then to teach you how to do it. So you're not there treading water as quickly as you can underneath, going, oh, I don't know how to do it. So
yeah, great. And for any of you who are interested in chatting with Ali, I've popped her details there. So it's walkerevents.com.au. Otherwise, have a chat to your colleagues, ask them who they use, you know, certainly communicate from that perspective. For anyone who's a MA member with us, we've got our closed Facebook page as well. You know, it's a great area for sharing resources and information. Ask your question, hey, who's using someone across this space, and get some of that information from them as well. But certainly, so Myotherapy Awareness Week, it is coming up. We are going to be providing our members, as we have done every year, our social media pack. So some really exciting tiles that you'll be able to share across your businesses. And we give you the tiles, but not the story, because the story is yours. And so we really want you to think about what Ali said, and, you know, share those authentic stories that will connect with your audience or your potential audience, your target group. And so that you can start to really let them know who you are and what you do, and put a face to that as well. So Ali, thank you so much. You saved our bacon a little and jumped on board with us at last minute. And so we really do appreciate your time and your expertise. And I think it's even more exciting that you really have an intimate understanding of myotherapy, and we really value that. So thank you so much. Thanks to those of you who hung in there. And I know we went a little over time, but we'll also have this recording available shortly, and we'll be able to share with you Ali's fabulous slides. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ali. Bye, everyone.